Story 1. A large percentage of people react with extreme anger or irrationality, regardless of the topic or tone of the discussion. There was a conversation in the parenting forum about a man seeking opinions on his family's vacation plans. His daughter invited her friend, who was allowed to come along. The father wondered if the suite they had was appropriate despite sharing one bathroom, or if he should consider booking an adjoining room for the two girls. Some responses to this innocent question were reckless and completely unreasonable. One person accused the father of being a probable pedophile and sexual deviant just for considering the same suite. Another suggested that the girl's family should launch an investigation into the father and forbid her from attending the trip. Other replies were less direct but similar in tone, with remarks like, "Are you crazy? Why would you even consider this?" Or, "How is this even a question for a truly innocent adult? It's disgusting." I was left wondering how people like this are allowed social media accounts where they can so freely engage in conversations with others. It's baffling how quickly some can become so outraged over something trivial and common. This kind of extreme reaction happens all the time across many forums on this website. Story 2. People are very mean and people are not friendly to beginners. There are too many strange rules on some subreddits. Story 3. How easy it is to be permanently banned and unable to argue your case. Being banned from a meme subreddit for saying an inside joke. Story 4. The negativity and its obsession with certain celebrities. Story 5. Spending 15 minutes proofreading a post to ensure it cannot be misinterpreted, only for every person who responds to misinterpret it. Story 6. Most of the time you are just writing into the void, just like this comment probably is. Story 7. Full of edgy teenagers and foolish adults whose default response to things they do not understand or agree with is to be confrontational. Story 8. The moderation is poor. Every subreddit is treated as someone's private safe space. They decide that you violated their unclear rules and will not respond to ban appeals. There is no higher authority to appeal to. You are banned automatically because you posted on subreddits they do not like, even though they have no context. Starting a new account will only result in more bans. This situation worsened significantly after changes in 2016. Story 9. It is frustrating when people ask for an unpopular opinion, you give one, and then they downvote you. Story 10. It's sold out and is now run by automated systems, sensorial overlords, and soulless corporate figureheads. Story 11. You can post a comment that is completely irrefutable, and someone will still disagree. Story 12. You can spend half an hour writing an informative, thoughtful response that never gets seen and drops into complete algorithmic obscurity within 24 hours. Seriously, this site churns through content. It's like looking at things through a moving car window. Even if what you see is interesting, it won't be there tomorrow. Or rather, it will be, but you will be somewhere else and you are not going back. Story 13. It is irritating when interesting threads are overshadowed by irrelevant content. Story 14. People saying, "I read 5 of your old comments, I will diagnose you, identify your problems, and I know all about you now." The audacity. Story 15. Everyone can be confrontational. People may directly call you a liar if your experience differs from theirs. Story 16. Many of these questions are related to sex or are really idiotic. Story 17. Clicking on a post with one comment only to be greeted with, "So empty." Story 18. That one person who always wants to start trouble. Or subreddits that consist only of strange groupthink around one subject, where you could be targeted by the community for having an opinion that slightly disagrees with theirs, such as the gaming subreddit. Story 19. How every subreddit expects me to thoroughly read and examine their rules and be knowledgeable about every tiny niche detail of each subreddit. Can't you just use common sense and post on topic like a regular person, in an intuitive manner? Story 20. People come here just to be combative and confrontational. You can say 1 + 1 = 2, and there is often someone who will respond with, "Wrong, 2 = 1 + 1, you idiot." Story 21. Downvotes usually start a chain reaction when one person initiates it, causing a perfectly fine comment to end up at the bottom of the thread with about 20 downvotes. Story 22. Automatic moderators removing your post for an apparent breach of Rule 27A or similar, even though it is structured exactly the same as dozens of other posts in the same subreddit. Story 23. Mods that do not want the truth written and need everyone to conform to their rigid mindset. Related to this is the collective mentality. Story 24. Collective thinking polarized opinions. Step out of line and get banned. After approximately 24 hours, posts are lost in the noise. Story 25. Banning and deleting posts by moderators without explanation can be frustrating. Sometimes you cannot figure out what you did wrong when you did not break any rules, and moderators will not even respond if you ask. Story 26. If you are politically in the middle or, God forbid, have a viewpoint on something that leans right, there is zero tolerance. Story 27. Unless you are on a specifically right-leaning subreddit, Reddit is going to be incredibly left-leaning by default, meaning many subreddits are not particularly reflective of the real world. I live in Indiana, which almost all of my fellow Americans would identify as a right-leaning place to live. I do not mean that in a good or bad way. It is just a fact. However, the Indiana community here is dominated by the left. It is incredibly misleading. Reddit is not real life, just as the internet in general is not real life. Story 28. When Reddit users think the worst of people while supposedly giving advice. Original poster. I caught my partner looking at pornography and got upset. Am I the antagonist? Normal people. Why do you not discuss it with him and explain why you got upset? Communication is key. Reddit. Red flag. Run, do not walk. You deserve better. Story 29. Religious wars, gender wars, and nationality wars. You think these do not happen here, but they do, and quite often. After all, we are just humans. Story 30. We love original content. Oh, you made this yourself? Sorry, no self-promotion unless you are a big-name celebrity, in which case you can do an Ask Me Anything where you can talk about whatever project you are a part of. Story 31. Too many people who think they are experts in everything downvote you for having a different opinion. Story 32. All the comedians repeating jokes they saw other Reddit users copy and paste, then praising themselves for the karma they receive from someone else's cleverness. Dear Reddit comedians, you are more like Carlos Mencia than George Carlin. Story 33. Upvoting and downvoting slowly conditions users to follow the herd. Story 34. Massive echo chamber and a large number of automated accounts. Story 35. Low-effort AskReddit posts that grant a huge boost to karma, while excellent and well-written story subreddits only get seen by about 100 people. Story 36. The same predictable comments are usually direct quotes of older posts that received many upvotes but add nothing to the discussion. Story 37. The political biases are not because I want it to be more pro-Republican or conservative, but because there are a lot of people willing to overlook and ignore corruption on one side of the political spectrum. Corruption is rampant on both sides, but it takes different forms with different objectives. If you are going to argue that one side is clearly more evil than the other, you can save it. I understand that you think your team is the good side and the opposing team is responsible for everything that is evil and wrong. Unfortunately, the world is not that simple or clear-cut. Story 38. Frequently downvoted for honest, unbiased opinions. If you do not like my opinion, please do not engage with my post. I received a 2-week ban from the Ask United Kingdom forum last week for a minor comment by an overzealous moderator. What is going on? Story 39. That it is brutally left-sided. Reddit should be unbiased. Story 40. Specials and also the advertisements everywhere, the advertisements disguised as threads, the advertisements disguised as posts. Story 41. 1. The long chain of comments that are irrelevant or a joke that ended after the first comment. 2. Nobody is ever wrong. 3. Any account that is new like mine is obviously a bot. 4. Groupthink and echo chambers. 5. Assuming downvotes equal being wrong. Story 42. I highly dislike that some people think it is not acceptable to have a different opinion than theirs. Story 43. Political agenda posting is very tiring, and it is obvious it is astroturfed misinformation promoted by the Democratic National Committee. Every main subreddit is infested with it. We get it, former President Trump is bad. I wonder, though, how much moderators are being paid to let that content go through while deleting every post that is pro-opposition. I just wish politics did not exist on Reddit and were only discussed in subreddits meant for that purpose. Story 44. The lack of nuance in most conversations, as well as the hive mind mentality associated with it, is evident. Once you get downvoted past a certain point, regardless of the accuracy of what you have said, people will just keep downvoting due to hive mentality. United States defaultism and United States exceptionalism are massive issues on many subreddits. The moderation is generally terrible, especially with comments randomly getting removed by automatic moderators. I have often had to go through comments line by line to figure out what is causing an automatic removal, only to find it is something trivial like the word people. There are many bots on the site at the moment, mostly pro-Vladimir Putin and pro-Palestine. There is excessive cynicism on most of Reddit, especially with anything involving children. There are absurd amounts of groupthink, such as anti-religious, anti-American, and anti-rich sentiments. Even when I strongly agree with these views, the groupthink is tiring and detrimental to intellectual debate. Story 45. My boyfriend punched me square in the face after I caught him having sex with my sister and confronted him. Should I leave him? Story 46. The extreme left-wing politics appearing in non-political subreddits. Story 47. It generally reminds me that if I had friends with all similar mindsets, it would be depressing. Story 48. I have noticed it has become a popular spot for narcissists. Many people post pictures of themselves asking, "Do I look like this or that? What do I look like? Am I fat? Or am I ugly?" Others show an art piece they made, but their chest is the centerpiece. Even if the picture is not about them, they always make it about how attractive they think they are. Story 49. Many, but if I had to pick three. 1. Trolls and arrogant people. Many leave comments on a post just to get a reaction or to post something tangentially related. It is common to see a respectful and kindly worded post from the original poster only to have several slanderous comments in response. It is surprising how many people enjoy trying to annoy, hurt, or waste others' time. 2. Politics. There are specific subreddits for those topics, although those communities can be problematic. However, people still feel the need to bring political content from those communities into others. 3. Echo chambers. Many reasonable posts and comments get downvoted and hidden simply because they do not agree with the prevailing opinions of the community. Story 50. Everyone is so combative about practically everything on this site that it becomes impossible to discuss anything in any meaningful way that is not part of a current trend. If I make a post saying, "I like pizza," multiple people flock to the thread to comment, "So why do you hate burgers?" Or provide an over-explanation on why I am wrong for liking pizza as an American and that I should be ashamed of everything my country has done to the world. I made a popular comment recently in our /music about how the entertainment industry as a whole is plagued with corruption, sexual abuse, murder, extortion, and more. Many people replied criticizing me for not mentioning politicians and accused me of shifting the narrative focus. I did not mention politics because it is a music thread, and the entertainment industry is actually relevant to the conversation. Also, I am sick and tired of not being able to discuss an upcoming video game release if the community does not approve of the game. I cannot say anything positive about an Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, Paradox Interactive, or similar game without the conversation being overwhelmed by repetitive points they heard from commentary creators on YouTube or TikTok. Conversely, I cannot provide any criticism to Game Freak, From Software, or Kojima Productions without others changing the subject and deflecting, all while being toxic and insulting whenever possible. Story 51. I dislike the users and the platform itself. Unless you have a very liberal viewpoint, you may get downvoted on anything you say. I find it unfair that I can get banned for calling someone stupid, while others can wish harm on soldiers and police officers and be praised. I strongly dislike Reddit. Story 52. People who seem to want to argue for no good reason, especially when they deliberately misconstrue a point you are trying to make by acting as if they have no grasp of the English language and everything must be literal. They either fail to get the gist of the point or focus on one particular point you are using to support an argument as if it is the argument itself. Also, when someone makes a clever joke and the ensuing thread is just people unoriginally beating it to death. Story 53. If you get downvoted once, you keep getting downvoted indefinitely. I swear people do not even read the comment. Edit. People are proving my point. Story 54. You cannot post in many subreddits with low karma. I have been trying to post my content on a specific subreddit since I created my account, but I still do not have enough karma. Story 55. It has become too political because of the elections. It is nauseating. Story 56. It is being taken over by liberals. Do not get me wrong, I am not asking for it to be run by conservatives, but still, I am not a jerk. Story 57. Groupthink, victim mentality, and negative feedback after stating the simplest opinion. Story 58. Moderators banning any political dissent. Unclear rules for posting or commenting. When using an all-encompassing word like nobody or everybody in an argument, there is always one person saying you are wrong because of one statistically insignificant example they know. Story 59. Some subreddits will ban you for participating in other subreddits that do not align with their personal beliefs. Story 60. Getting permanently banned by an automated system with no ability to appeal. Story 61. The missing return to top button at the end of the comments was lost with the new interface. Story 62. Downvoting because of disagreement, not based on the argument. Story 63. The system that bans people for promoting hate is worse than useless. It looks for certain slurs and automatically bans people for using them, even if they are being quoted in context. It does not catch any type of hate speech that does not use those slurs. Story 64. The attitude of I know more than you that most people have. Story 65. It is being flooded with politics like never before. Anti-Donald Trump articles, memes, and news appear in every general subreddit, news subreddit, and humor subreddit. If it were anti-Kamala Harris, it would be just as problematic. Story 66. When people do not read the posts carefully and ask questions that have already been answered in the original post. Story 67. The social credit system, or the upvote and downvote system, assigns points to socially acceptable or unacceptable comments. This encourages a hive mind. Story 68. Moderators who do not know their subreddit rules can ban users with no recourse. As moderators are not required to follow Reddit's official moderator rules set by the administrators, they can be extremely abusive during appeals. The only explanation I can think of is that Reddit relies on the free labor of moderators to keep the site functioning, so Reddit allows moderators to break the rules. You cannot even report the specific moderator who is breaking the rules because they can hide their identity. Therefore, any report made to Reddit administrators is ignored. I look forward to when Reddit introduces paywalled subreddits. It will be interesting when customers present evidence of moderator abuse in court. The situation is different now because we do not pay to use the site. Story 69. Over-moderation and the auto-moderator. I had a comment removed on Explain Like I'm 5 because my response was too short. My comment was about 6 words and fully explained the answer. Providing more detail would overcomplicate the answer beyond the purpose of the subreddit. Story 70. People are much more interested in being heard than understanding. I had so many interactions where the other person clearly was not reading, they were just mad their idea was confronted. 2. Parasocial behavior. Maybe this is just because I hang out on some fan subreddits, but wow, you do not know these famous people. You are not their friends, there are no ulterior motives. You do not know the inner workings or thoughts these people have. 3. Strangely specific echo chambers. Every subreddit has this one shared opinion that if you dare challenge, you will be downvoted to the depths of hell. Often these opinions are not valuable to discussion or even right. They are just untouchable for no reason. Story 71. People try to be funny rather than stay on the discussion topic. It seems like everyone offends each other until the post ends. Story 72. I dislike posting a few well-received comments per day in a subreddit, then I post a joke people do not understand, and I am banned for 30 days. Just delete it if it is that bad. Yes, I understand subreddits are self-moderated, but this seems to be a trend across Reddit. Story 73. Advertisements appear everywhere, especially in the middle of comment threads. Story 74. Getting downvoted for a nice, well-thought-out, pleasant comment just because people do not agree with me. Now I have -8 karma and cannot comment on some of my favorite subreddits. I feel like a misdiagnosed leper. Story 75. The rude behavior is unacceptable. People often feel entitled to speak to others disrespectfully. Although it does not happen all the time, as soon as you express a different opinion or unintentionally break a rule, you are met with toxic negativity. Story 76. The inability to ask a question without receiving an egotistical and sassy or elitist response. Story 77. I got banned from the Reddit community Communism 101 for literally 2 words. I may have deserved it. Original post. How can I be a more active communist? Me try starvation. I don't think I was wrong. Mean-spirited maybe, but not wrong. I hate censorship. Story 78. People posting from only a United States point of view even though they are on a global subreddit. Not everyone is a Republican or a Democrat. Story 79. Every political post follows these steps. 1. Something political is posted. 2. A liberal comments with something terrible, racist, or stupid that they think conservatives would say on the subject. 3. Other liberals comment and get angry at conservatives for that thing the liberal said conservatives would say. Then they proceed to talk about how evil conservatives must be for what the liberal claimed. 4. Upvotes and awards are given to each other. 5. Repeat. Story 80. The repetitiveness on certain Reddit communities, especially this one. Story 81. The number of socialists and communists, do they not know history? Anytime a government has been given the power to control all aspects of an economy, it has become abusive, and individuals lose personal freedoms that most of us in the West take for granted. Story 82. Leftists are hostile to you if you disagree with them in the slightest. They claim to be the party of tolerance. Story 83. Gaslighting and overly liberal bias. I'm liberal, but the content being posted is extreme. It is better than far-right or overly conservative bias, but it is still extremely biased to the left. Story 84. The subreddit r/pics has turned into nothing but insufferable American politics. Every time I visit this website while logged out, I see some stupid Trump and JD Vance content on the front page. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.